Pay attention to this now, because what I'm about to say is not a common way to start a video. You didn't get here because of the algorithm. The algorithm pushes millions of videos per second, and none of them would describe the last 3 days of your life with the precision I'm about to describe. In the last 72 hours, something inside you has changed temperature. You wake up before the alarm rings, between 3 and 5 in the morning, and you lie there staring at the ceiling, feeling a pressure in your chest that isn't anxiety, isn't fear, isn't sadness. It's something else. It's as if someone had opened a small window at the back of your head and a cold wind were blowing in. You look at the people you love and feel a new, silent distance, as if you were on the other side of a pane of glass. Conversations that used to nourish you now drain you in 15 minutes. You open your phone, scroll for 2 minutes, and close it with a physical sensation that you've lost something you can't even name. And there is a phrase, or an image, or a name that insists on returning. You try to push it away, and it comes back in the shower, in the supermarket line, in the middle of a meeting. This is not random. This is the field reorganizing itself before the eclipse of August 27th and 28th. And you are feeling it now because your nervous system is thinner than that of most people on your street, in your building, at your job. That is why this video appeared to you and not to them. There are two humanities facing what is about to happen, and I need you to understand the difference before anything else. The sleeping majority will feel exactly what you are feeling. This silent pressure, this urge to cry for no reason, this strange fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. And they will blame it on work, the weather, PMS, the boss, the relationship, the bill due on the 30th. They will medicate the sensation with infinite scrolling, with food at 11 at night, with series they've already seen 3 times, and the window will pass over them like a freight train passes over a coin on the track. Not even the shape will be left. But there is a minority, a small and uncomfortable minority, that has the internal infrastructure to realize that this energy is not an error of the day. It is a structural invitation. You belong to this minority, and that is why the restlessness you feel isn't even suffering. It is recognition. And I'm going to tell you the exact 7 things you need to do before the 27th and 28th. Because a portal is not a romantic astronomical event with background music. A portal is the mathematical point where the cost of remaining stuck in your current life becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. And the eclipse is the moment when that bill becomes visible. After it, either you took the step or you paid the price for not taking it. The first thing you need to do, and this is the hardest precisely because it seems the silliest, is to eliminate the excess of external noise and create windows of real silence before the eclipse. I'm not talking about meditation with an app, with a bell, with a woman's voice whispering in New Zealand. I'm talking about raw silence, without stimulus, without a screen, without background music, without a podcast while you wash the dishes, because what is trying to speak to you these days speaks at a very low volume. It is a structural whisper, and it is drowned out by anything above 30 decibels. Your mind is currently functioning like a glass of muddy water that someone is stirring with a spoon all day long. While the spoon turns, you can't see the bottom, and it is precisely at the bottom where the information you need to access before the eclipse lies. Which relationship is rotten, which decision you've been postponing for 2 years, which truth about yourself you are pretending you don't know. The spoon is the feed, the notification, the group chat, the soap opera, the political argument, the excess. You don't need to become a monk. You need 2 20-minute windows a day, one in the morning before touching any screen and another at night before sleeping, where you just sit, doing nothing, not trying to meditate, not trying to feel anything specific, just sitting. And for the first few days it will be unbearable, because the sleeping mind panics when deprived of noise. It calls it boredom, but boredom is just the name the mind gives to the moment it is about to start telling you the truth. And this is exactly where I need to be honest with you about something. If you are feeling all of this now, if you are recognizing every sentence I've spoken about the last 3 days, if this pressure is increasing as you listen to me, there is a very high probability that you won't be able to cross this window alone. Not because you are weak, but because no one taught you the architecture. You have sensitivity without structure, and sensitivity without structure turns into emotional collapse in just under 2 weeks. That is why I prepared Magia em 28 exercícios, the 28 chaves do despertar. It is a 28-day journey, a complete lunar cycle, made exactly for people who are at this point where restlessness has already become a language but hasn't yet become a direction. It isn't a reading course, it is a sequence of short, surgical daily exercises that integrate the shadow instead of memorizing theory, and that transform what you are feeling now into a concrete decision before the window closes. The link is in the first pinned comment of this video, and if you know you need to enter this structure, write the word atravesso down below. Just that word. It works as an energetic signature of commitment to yourself, and you will understand in a few days why this specific word matters. Returning to what matters, the second thing you need to do before the eclipse is to identify by first and last name what needs to be ended in your life. And here I need you to stop pretending. You know, you've always known. There is at least one relationship in your life that you should have ended 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, and you stay in it out of a mixture of fear, habit, and guilt. There is a job that sucks your energy in such a way that on Friday night you can't even speak to anyone, and you stay there telling yourself it's just a phase. There is a habit, a small vice, a scroll, a glass, a food, a person that you use as anesthesia so you don't feel a specific pain, and that pain has been asking for passage for a long time. There is an old guilt, something that happened when you were 22 or 30 or 15, and you carry the body of it inside you like a stone in a coat pocket that you forgot was there, but that weighs on every step. The eclipse doesn't come to take this away from you. The eclipse comes to show you that you are holding on. Grab a notebook right now, really, and make a simple 3-column list. In the first, write the names of the people you keep in your life out of fear. In the second, write the habits you repeat, knowing they are draining you. In the third, write the guilts you still carry that no one knows you carry. This list is the map of what the eclipse is coming to cut. You won't cut everything, but you need to see the complete design because you only cut what you can see, and most people go through their whole lives without ever looking at the map. The third thing is to start observing, with almost scientific attention, the dreams, intuitions, and coincidences happening to you in these days leading up to the eclipse. And I need to explain the mechanism to you, because if I just say, observe the signs, you'll think I'm doing cheap spirituality. What happens is this: every time a major cycle is about to close, the unconscious enters a sort of state of emergency, and it begins to send you information through every channel it has available. Dreams are one, midday intuition is another. Coincidence is the third, and it is the most interesting, because coincidence isn't the universe doing magic. It is your perception system becoming so fine that you finally start to notice patterns that were always there. You will start to hear the same phrase in 3 different places in 48 hours. You will think of a person you haven't seen in 7 years, and they will message you the next day. You will open a book to a random page and read the exact sentence that answers the question you hadn't even formulated yet. This is not a miracle. This is your internal radar working at maximum capacity, and the eclipse is the moment when this radar reaches the sharpest point of the year. Buy a small notebook or open a note on your phone, and from today on, write everything down. Dreams as soon as you wake up, even if they are fragments, names that appear repeatedly, numbers that repeat, phrases you hear in different contexts. You don't need to interpret anything now, just write it down. Because when you reach the other side of the eclipse and read these notes, the pattern will jump off the page like a message written in invisible ink that became visible in the fire. And it will be obvious what it was trying to tell you. I've seen this happen to hundreds of people, and the script is almost always the same. Someone writes down fragments for 4 days that seem disconnected. A dream about an old house, the name of an ex-friend that appeared on social media, a song playing in the elevator they hadn't heard since they were 15, a smell that reminded them of their grandmother's kitchen, and then upon rereading it all together, they understand that the unconscious was spending whole days showing the same thing from 6 different angles, usually a part of their own history that remained unresolved. It's like an experienced interrogator. He doesn't ask the same thing twice in a row. He surrounds you from 6 sides until you tell the truth yourself. And there is a technical detail that almost no one mentions, which is the difference between intuition and anxiety disguised as intuition. Intuition arrives neutral, without urgency, with a strangely calm clarity, almost bored, as if it had always been there, and only now you had turned your face the right way. Disguised anxiety arrives hot, accelerated with a dramatic narrative, with a feeling that if you don't act in the next 10 minutes, the world collapses. Learn to distinguish the two signatures, because in the next 2 weeks you will receive a lot of both, and confusing one for the other is the difference between crossing the eclipse more whole or coming out of it with 3 wrong decisions and an emotional bill that will take months to pay. The fourth thing, and this is one of the 2 most violent things to do, is to shield your energy in the 2 weeks around the eclipse. And shielding isn't putting a crystal in your pocket. Shielding is a social decision. There is a person in your life that every time you hang up the phone, you feel you've aged 3 years. There is an environment, a bar, a house, a room, a group, that sucks you dry in such a way that you get home afterward wanting to sleep for 18 hours. There is a social network that, after 20 minutes on it, you feel worse about yourself than you did before opening it. In the 2 weeks around the eclipse, you're going to do something very unpopular. You're going to temporarily step away from all of it. You don't need to have a dramatic conversation. You don't need to make an announcement. Just vanish. Don't reply instantly. Reply the next day with 1 line. Don't go to the meeting. Say you are resolving something personal. Don't open the app for 3 days, because your energy field right now is porous, permeable, and anything that enters will leave a deeper mark than it would at any other time of the year. What you absorb in these 2 weeks will set the tone for the next 6 months of your life. This is not an exaggeration, it is like wet paint. Touch it now and the mark stays. Touch it 3 months from now and nothing happens. This is the real cost of being sensitive. You need to learn that your sensitivity is not a weakness, it is a precision instrument, and precision instruments aren't left on all the time. You turn them off, calibrate them, and turn them on when needed. The 5th thing connects directly to the 4th, and it is to avoid, with everything you have, making any major decision impulsively during the emotional peaks of the eclipse. There will be a moment, probably on the night of the 27th or the morning of the 28th, when a truth will hit you with such force that you will want to do something immediately. You'll want to end the relationship in a 2-minute call. You'll want to resign in an email written at 3 in the morning. You'll want to cut contact with a family member by sending a 7-minute audio message. You'll want to move cities the following week. And I tell you now, with all the firmness I can put into a sentence, don't do it. The information arriving is true. The urgency to act at that exact moment is false. There is a huge difference between clarity and anxiety, and in the middle of the eclipse, they look so much alike that only those with a lot of mileage can tell the difference. The golden rule is this: every decision that appears between August 25th and 30th must be written down, respected, but executed only after September 3rd. You write it down, you do not act. If the decision is truly real, it will still be there on the 3rd, firmer, more lucid, more structured. If it was just the emotional peak of the portal, it will have dissolved, and you will be deeply grateful for not having sent that audio. And here I need to pause again, because if you are following me to this point, you've already understood that this isn't a video about astrology. This is about internal architecture. And if you know you're going to need that architecture working in the next 2 weeks, Magia em 28 exercícios was built exactly for the interval between now and the next lunar cycle. It is the skeleton that supports the sensitivity you're feeling so that it becomes direction and doesn't become collapse. Link in the first pinned comment. The window of entry with the conditions I opened is small, and it closes before the day of the eclipse. After that, the product continues to exist, but the exact moment to use it will have passed. The 6th thing is the ritual, and I need you to understand what a ritual is and what it isn't. A ritual is not a performance of spirituality. A ritual is not an expensive candle, imported incense, a set-up altar, white clothes. A ritual is the physical materialization of an internal decision, period. The object has no power at all, The power lies in the fact that you used your body to mark in time and space a moment of conscious decision. That is why it works. That is why it has worked for 10,000 years, in every culture, in every religion, in every tradition. It isn't the candle, it's the gesture of lighting it. It isn't the paper, it's the gesture of writing. So on the night of the 27th or the morning of the 28th, you are going to do the following. Take a sheet of paper, any paper, and write on it, in your own handwriting, without typing, 3 things. The first is the exact name of what you are leaving behind, whether it's a person, a habit, or a version of yourself. The second is the specific reason why you are leaving it, written as if you were explaining it to someone you love very much and who needs to understand. The third is a farewell sentence, short, direct, honest. Then you read it aloud, alone, without an audience, and then you burn that paper or tear it into small pieces and throw it into running water or bury it in the earth. Choose one of the 3. Do only one. And while you do it, pay attention to what happens in your body. There will be a place, a specific place, the chest, the throat, the pit of the stomach, behind the eyes, where something will pass through, a lightness, a warmth, a cry, an emptiness. That is the marker. That is the moment the body registers that the cycle has closed. Without this physical record, the decision stays only in the head, and decisions that stay only in the head fall apart on the first difficult Monday. With this record, it becomes structure, and you will look back 3 months from now and realize that night was the exact point where your life turned the corner. There is a neurological reason for this, and it's worth understanding, because when you understand the mechanism, you stop doubting the process. The human brain permanently marks events that combine 3 elements at once: physical gesture, intense emotion, and symbolic context. It's the same reason you remember to this day the exact day you heard of an important death or your first kiss, or the moment you lost a job. It isn't the information that sticks, it's the combination. And a well-done ritual recreates this combination deliberately, with one crucial difference. You are the author. You choose the gesture, you call the emotion, you build the context. And the brain, which doesn't distinguish very well between a spontaneous event and a constructed one, files it as a permanent milestone. That is why a 20-minute night, done with truth, is worth more than 6 months of reading books about closing cycles. One thing moves the body, the other only moves the head. And a head without a body changes no life at all. And we reach the last point, the 7th, which is the most important of all, because it is what the absolute majority of people forget to do, and it is precisely why they end eclipses and portals exactly the same as they started. You cannot just end things. Ending without occupying the space that was left empty is opening the door for the same thing, with a different name, to fill it again. The universe, the field, the psyche, life, call it what you will, abhors a vacuum. If you don't define what is going to enter, something will enter. And in the overwhelming majority of cases, what enters is a new, disguised, refined version of the exact cycle you just ended. That is why people end a toxic relationship, and 3 months later, they are in a relationship with the same dynamic, just with a different accent. That is why people resign from a soul-sucking job, and 6 months later they are in another soul-sucking job with the same hours. It isn't bad luck. It is an unfilled vacuum. So on the night of the 28th, after the ritual, after the crying, after the silence, you are going to do the second part, which is to write on another sheet a single sentence that begins with the words, "I choose to be the person who," and you complete it. I choose to be the person who no longer accepts. I choose to be the person who does. I choose to be the person who says no without guilt. One sentence, only one. Because diffuse intention moves nothing. Specific intention reorganizes the field, and that sentence is the seed that will grow in the space the eclipse opened. Before I let you go into this night, I need to say one last thing very clearly. August 27th and 28th are not an astronomical event for you to look at in the sky with a crooked neck. They are a symbolic milestone, a threshold, a turning point, where the universe asks you bluntly who you no longer want to be. And the answer you give, with your acts, with your silences, with your lists, with your ritual, with your written sentence, will define the next 6 months of your life with a precision you will only understand in the mirror of March next year. I prepared all of this video, the 28-day journey, the structure of daily exercises, because I know that sensitivity without method becomes suffering, and method without sensitivity becomes a robot. Magia in 28 exercícios is the marriage of the two, and it was designed exactly for the interval that starts now and goes until the next complete lunar cycle. It is the only way I know to guarantee that what you are feeling now doesn't dissolve in the middle of an ordinary Monday. The link is in the first pinned comment. If you've made it this far, you already know if it's for you. You don't need to think anymore. Click, enter, and start today, because the window that opens on the 27th doesn't ask if you are ready. It just opens. And either you are standing at the door with the structure built, or you stay sitting on the floor watching it pass. And that is precisely why this video doesn't end here. What you heard today was the preparation, the map of what to do before, the revelation of what happens inside you during the 27th and 28th, minute by minute, and what to do in the 72 hours following the eclipse so you don't lose everything you've gained, is in the next video appearing now on your screen. Click it. The first 60 seconds will reorganize your timeline. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, understand one thing: you will receive only pieces of the map. Every video here is a coordinate within a larger structure regarding this energetic window that opened in August and goes until the end of the year. To lose the sequence is to lose the context, and without context, any truth dissolves. Subscribe, hit the bell, and meet me in the next one. We'll see each other on the other side.